Hello, good afternoon, and thank you very much for tuning in again. So, here is my long awaited podcast on zero point energy, which I touched upon in my previous podcast called Taking Control. Now, zero point energy gets rid of any pretense to any measure proposed by any proponent of net zero. It throws it all out of the window totally. We don't have to worry about fossil fuels. We don't have to worry about solar. We don't have to worry about these idiot windmill farms. We don't have to worry about anything. So what is zero point energy? This is something that was discovered by Nikola Tesla, and I've put a link in the description to his life and work. Very nice film which sums it up. About 1895, he was born in 1859 and was, just like Einstein, an undiscovered genius. So zero point energy is an energy that is around us all the time, and it is the result of the fact that everything is in perpetual motion, and all that motion or rotation generates energy, which is totally limitless. It is without limit. You can literally power as many planets as you like, the equivalent energy of as many suns as you like, with zero point energy. And it's like going down to the Atlantic Ocean with a tablespoon and taking a tablespoonful of water out of the ocean, and before you've even finished lifting the spoon, that energy has already been replaced in its own reservoir. This energy has absolutely no side effects, or nefast side effects whatsoever. There are byproducts, but they're not side effects. It is limitless, it is free, and it is totally non-polluting. So all you have to do, it's a bit like the old-fashioned radios when you turn the big knob to find your stations, right? Well, it's the same with zero point energy. All you have to do is tune in to the right frequency and you get your zero point energy. With a device the size of a shoebox, you can not only run every appliance in the house, but you can also heat yourself all year round, which means that in summer you will obviously be using air conditioning, and this will have no nefast effects on the environment. None whatsoever. No CO2 emissions. Right? Now, the side effects are also very nice because we will have anti-gravity, which means that we will no longer have to make tires for cars because they won't be touching the ground. And as for accidents, it'll be even safer because there'll be navigational software, but also there'll be an energy field around your car so that if you do have a near miss, you just bump into the other person's energy field and you might be shaken and stirred, but that's it. Nothing will be damaged. Alright, the other little side effect for our friends the birds, no, it doesn't kill them the way 5G did in Brussels many years ago when the first experiments came out on 5G. And 5G still has to be proved to be safe, I don't think it is. Anyway, with birds, where you have emission and reception of zero point energy in large quantities, they do not go near those places because it interferes with their electromagnetic navigational systems, which are, of course, millions of years old. And that really is the only downside to zero point energy. So they just stay away from the large centers of reception and emission, and that's it. So the whole climate crisis is just a scam. It's done to tax you to death, it's done to wear you down, it's done to confine you to 15-minute cities. I mean, completely, absolute, total, Orwellian, dysfunctional societies. Forget it. Okay, so I'll give you an idea of Tesla's genius. Marconi, of Marconi Radionics and all the rest of it, went to do an apprenticeship with Marconi. And he learnt a lot. In fact, he learnt so much that 20 years ago, many years after the death of Tesla and Marconi, Tesla died in 1943, Marconi's family paid a very large undisclosed sum to the Tesla family in an out-of-court settlement. Now, we know you will see in the life of Tesla how zero-point energy was suppressed. You also, in my description, have the references for the patents, which are free to use, including free working models. Now, the author is a well-known aeronautics engineer called Salvador Cesar Pais, and the owner of the patent is the US Navy, and this is free to use. The reason they made it free to use was so that no one nation or company could have a monopoly on this. So, now that it is out in the public domain, and it had been stifled for many years by the US Patent Office, and there are loads and loads of interviews that prove this, and witness testimony. And if you want a history of zero-point energy, an authority for me, anyway, is Dr. Stephen Greer, The Lost Century, which is worth every minute of watching. So we can obtain this, we just have to put pressure on our politicians and our utility companies. But this zero-point energy will mean that developing countries will no longer have a problem with water, they won't have a transport problem, they won't have a farming problem, and we can actually create a golden age of prosperity for everybody in peace with nobody fighting over resources. That's how important this is. Now, I know I'm just one little fellow in this deep English countryside, but we all get together and spread the word and put pressure on the powers that were. We will eventually get there. We shall prevail. The lunacy that they're trying to sell us with this farming is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Right? No wonder the farmers have barricaded the EU in their own offices in Brussels. Well done. Keep it up. And yes, I do support my farmers, and there is in this country the People's Farming and Food Association, and yes, we should be supporting them, and yes, I did give them a plug, and I would really, really be very grateful indeed if you'd like, share, subscribe, comment this little podcast, and send it forth like a message in the bottle, but send it forth many, many times so that we can actually together succeed in obtaining zero-point energy. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to your comments and broadcasting again. Thank you. Bye-bye.